So today I would like to talk about a very important thing that I think is worth talking about. This is also for you to have a better understanding when it comes to the expectations of the Filipino parents on their children, and for you to have a better perspective on why I don't want to use the word obliged or obligated to support their parents. I always wanted to talk about this, but this is, I think, for me, very controversial, and I was skeptical about actually putting this out there. What do you girls think about the cultural expectations of Filipino parents who are obligating their children to support them once they finish their education and find a job? Or do you think this is fair to be a so-called retirement plan for our parents?
I would like to share my own personal perspective on this one, and this is the first time that I'm going to share it to everyone, especially publicly. I grew up with not much, and my parents were really poor, and I was the eldest. Okay, and so I had that kind of growing up with my parents telling me that, oh, one day you're gonna keep us out of this situation. And kind of like it got stuck on my mind, because I also would have a dream to make my family really be in a better place, because of course their family, we love them. Here in the Philippines, really the family is something that is really like we have the strong family ties, which I think a lot of you Westerners would not appreciate it, or something new to you. But here in the Philippines, we're having a strong family ties. And I grew up with that kind of mindset, to be honest, to be like with especially my not both of the parents, but one of my parent, my father was the one who is kind of like really giving the expectation that when you graduate, you're gonna help back because I help you. I didn't know back then that it was kind of like, for me now that looking back at it, it's like, wow, I'm not gonna do that to my kid. Okay. And, but then, yes, there was a part of, I'm already 43, right? And I already had a lot of experiences in my life, I would say. And one of the experiences that really like honed me or made me into someone right now is that. And the poverty and the responsibility of being the eldest, being the person who would lift up the whole family. You know that? I was like, oh my God. And it was a burden on me, to be honest. And that was something that I didn't want anyone to experience. And now that I'm a parent, I wouldn't do or give that kind of responsibility back to my child. And I would say I would really try to like be a child and experience being a child, because there were a lot of times in my childhood I wasn't a child at all, because of the responsibility of being the eldest, and I have the four kids, the four siblings that I have to take care of when the parents are not there, and after I graduated on my own because they couldn't support me. So I had to find my way to finish my study. And when I finished it, I felt the obligation. Okay. I felt the obligation, and I did help my family for many years, until one day I woke up and I felt like I need to have my own life too. I need to start. I'm already like almost 30. I need to have my own life too. Yeah. I need to have a boyfriend. You can't believe I had it late in life because I was too busy to take care of my family. And that's when I sat with them, talked to my family, and what are we going to do about this? Because I also want to travel. I also wanted to travel the world. I wanted to do a lot of things, but then I cannot have this for the rest of my life, having 2 to 3 jobs. I had 2 to 3 jobs just to be able to keep up how many are we? Like 6 members in the family, including me. And that includes the bills, everything, the house, everything. I'm paying everything for the 6 people, and plus the tuition fee of my siblings. And I was like, we need to do something, and I need to do something for my life now because I'm getting older. And that's when we tried to like, good thing that time, they were like, yeah, we can, whatever that you're going to do, let's see. And that actually surprised me. Like, why didn't I do this before? You know, they're actually supportive, but I still like have to find a way that I leave without them, with like I leave something for them when I leave. Do you know what I mean? Like I have to leave the country, but I have to feel, because I feel responsible for, you know, that they're not gonna have anything, they're gonna suffer without me. So I did something to have a source of income for the whole family. And then I felt like, okay, I'm at peace now to fly. I'm at peace now to fly. So yeah, that was when I started traveling, and I realized on the way that, hey, we should not teach people to, how to say this, to be dependent, even our family. It's hard. I know it's hard because I have tried it. It was really tough on my part to be like, you feel responsible for it and then you just leave them. It is a very tough decision at first, but then after many years that I actually did that, I see like, oh my God, I saw the talent of my siblings, that they can do that. They can be manager, they can be supervisor, and my parents can do that. Maybe it's like, wow, why didn't I do this before? So it's like, for those of you Filipinos out there who are, because I feel this is something that is really common, Shay, and I'm glad that you brought this up. This is common for us because our parents say that not because it was being passed down from generation to generation. And I think I'm one of those people that I tried to cut it. You cannot blame them because that was what they learned, because that was what they do in their generation. Okay, the parents told them to, hey, you graduate, you do something or have a job, and then you pay me back, and I'm just gonna lay back. I couldn't blame my parents because they didn't know. And yeah, so I look back to it now and I'm like, wow, because they have thrived actually without me. And it was just actually me who was trying to make them dependent on me. Right? So yeah, it's this is something really kind of like sensitive because it brought me back to those memories. Like, why didn't I do that before? But then, yeah, they started to appreciate themselves more because they're able to do their own business. They're able to do a lot of other things that even me was surprised to do it. So it's like in everything, I learned that we have to teach people not to be dependent on us, so not to spoon feed them, but we have to teach them how to fish and multiply the fish. I learned the new thing of multiplying the fish, actually, not just to teach them how to fish, but multiply the fish. So yeah, that's what I have been in my life. And I think it's still a common thing right now because, as I said, it's being passed from generation to generation here in the Philippines. And this is something that you Westerners, is something that you should not look down on, because I think it boils down to the big heart of Filipinos that we like to take care of our families. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. We just have to build boundaries, because with my exes who are also foreigners, they never had a problem with my family. I set boundary. I set the boundary that they cannot just ask money to them or to me. You have to set a boundary right from the very start when you're in a relationship with a Filipina. But I also meet some foreigners who are friends, husbands of my friends, who love to splurge the families because they feel the closeness and the tightness and the love of the family, which they didn't have in the West. Yeah. So really, if it's something that really it brings down to, if it's something that resonates with you, with the culture of the Filipino families, being strong family ties, then yes, but this is also something for you to like watch out or put your like a heads up if it's something for you or not. But yes, it is common in the Philippines to have a strong family ties, and it is quite common for some of the families to be really close and to date only not the Filipino, not the Filipina, not just a girl, but the whole town.
Yes.
The whole barangay.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad that you finally stood up and said it to them, because, it is sad that many children don't they want to say the same thing, but they can't say because they're too afraid to actually hurt their parents' feelings. But like you said, really setting boundaries, because we have our lives to actually live, and the money that we earn also need to be saved for our future and our children's future. What about you, Maya?
About me, I'm so distracted with okay.
And the dog.
Sorry. Okay. So I think there is nothing wrong about helping your parents, but not to the extent that they will pressure you to give all your money to them. Yeah. That they will make your goal is to only help them and not do something for yourself. Because me personally, as like you, I also grew up in a very toxic family where my parents would always say how I should be grateful for my life because they gave birth of me, they fed me, and when I grew up, I need to repay it. And because of this, negative talk that they always give to me, the verbal abuse, I become numb. So whatever they say to me, I never really listen to them. So I do what I think is good for me. So I think I'm very lucky that I am not a slave on helping them. It's not being a slave, but not obligated to help them, because I think they were kind of stopping themselves. They feel like shy, or shy of the things that they have said or done to me. So they are not really obligating me to help them. So I would be the only one who would just, like, if I feel like they need something, I will help, but I'm not like they will pursue me and ask me to give them money. So yeah, so I think the Filipinos or the Filipinas that are obligated to help their parents, that their parents really obligate them, are the parents that they never really emotionally or verbally abuse them, where maybe they did, but they didn't really realize it. They didn't realize it, that they were already abused by their parents verbally.
Exactly.
So they feel like, how did I say this? So they feel like they are really obligated, that they feel that their parents, or they don't have the guts to tell their parents that you are verbally abusing me right now. They don't have the guts to stand up for themselves. So they just say yes, yes, yes to their parents. So their parents had this power to them to obligate them to help them. And also some parents, you can also blame them that they don't have any money when they retire, because they don't have a savings. Majority of Filipinos don't think about savings, don't think about retirement plan. They don't have that. So they think that their retirement plan is their kids. When they grow older, their kids will take care of them. So I think it should start with financial education. So I think that should be the beginning of that. So if you're like a Filipino that are smarter or more knowledgeable about these things, maybe you should set up maybe like a SSS or something that would help your parents, so that it will not be a burden to you in the long run. Also, educate your parents also, because we cannot blame also our parents for the way they are thinking, because they don't have the chance to learn this. So I think it's also it would be good if the younger ones will help their parents in setting up a financial security.
Right. I think it's all about the lack of education, and also when you're impoverished, when you were growing up, you just wanted to get out of that situation and just marry early and not thinking about, pursuing your degree and get yourself out of that situation. The only thing that a lot of people think to get out of the situation is to marry early.
Yeah.
And they hope that they can marry somebody who has a better lifestyle or better living condition than them. But chances are, if you're poor, you marry to a poor person.
Yeah.
Right? It's very fairy tale when you're a very poor person and you marry a rich man.
Yeah.
In our culture, right?
Yeah.
Unless you marry a foreigner, I guess.
Yes.
But
Hoy!
what happened here? No, go loving somewhere else. But I'm really glad that you have not really felt pressured by your parents about obligating you in sponsoring them or financing them until their old age. And I'm also one of those lucky ones where because my parents have not really obligated me to buy this or to buy anything for them. In fact, I'm actually the last person that my parents would actually go to if they need money. So if there are like 20 people that they can borrow money from, I would be the 20th person. Seriously, because I think the way I was brought up, especially I'm talking about my mom, the way I was brought up probably is because, or the way I was brought up, I think was or is a blessing in disguise because that kind of like made a barrier between my relationship with my parents and that I think my mom probably is too shy to ask me for anything because we are not really that close. So it's a blessing in disguise. But if I'm rich, I would actually give the world to them because they're still my parents and I want them to experience a better living condition before they pass away, before I expire. So how do you girls envision these cultural expectations from Filipino parents? Do you think that this is going to change in the younger generations? Like, do you think that the younger generations is actually to give in to these cultural expectations, or do you think that this is actually going to change?